county. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Politically Speaking on Rogers TV. I am not David Sherman. I am a David. I'm David Carr. David Sherman is under the weather. So I was just walking by the front of Rogers. They said, would you come in and talk to Kevin Eccles? And I said, well, Kevin Eccles is about the last person I want to talk to, but here we are. So none of that is true, of course. Kevin and I have a smiling, if limited, history that goes back, first of all, politely and correctly, 25 years probably, politely and correctly, good evening.
Well, thank you.
Welcome to Politically Speaking.
Wonderful to be back here. I'm really pleased to be able to get into the studio. And yes, a bit of a surprise that Mr. Sherman wasn't able to, but it is the cold season, and it must have been a lot of him having to do maybe that hugging and Christmas, hugging and kissing over New Year's Eve or something like that.
All of that, possibly shaking hands with parishioners if he had to stand in. I know he's retired, but if you are a shepherd, I don't know if you ever get to really retire. Plus which, his wife is an elected municipal politician, so there may have been more hugging and these things
interaction.
Happen. These things happen. As we go through the program this evening, one of the things you'll notice about Mr. Eccles, depending on the questions I ask, is that he is probably the smilingest politician I have ever known. I can't remember when I've seen you without, look at you right now. I can't remember when I've ever seen you without a smile on your face.
And that's for the simple fact that you did not spend a lot of time in the hockey arena when I was a coach. There is a few individuals out there that were in black and white stripes with a red band that I may have sneered at, growled at on occasion.
And a couple of other words that we can't.
They're only meant for a hockey arena.
Politically speaking, you are back as mayor of West Grey.
Correct.
From the day of your defeat in 2018, was it always your intention to seek re-election in 2022?
No.
Seriously?
No.
Okay.
Very seriously. Always been truthful on that. I wouldn't say that it was an absolute, but there probably was at least 90% of me said, no, okay, I guess I'm done. When
did you decide maybe I should do this? Because I looked at some of those questionnaires and so on that we ask politicians to fill out at election time and so on, and I don't think I had to read very deeply between the lines in your expressions to understand that, if I may, and you correct me, or you were decidedly unhappy about the function of West Grey government over the past 4 years.
That would be a very good explanation of it, yes.
A calm and quiet
I was
explanation.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't happy with the direction and the leadership and the strategic vision of way the municipality was heading, and I don't know whether it was the divisiveness of council. Have seen it on a number of other municipalities, and I was greatly disappointed that it happened in my municipality, in the municipality where I lived and had led. How council got divided, and it was 4-3, or sometimes it was 3-3-1, 2-2-2-1 on a couple of occasions, and there was never just that show of leadership that from all of council that come together as a teamwork to get things accomplished for the municipality.
Talk to me about your defeat in 2018. followed by the fact that you won in 2022 by at least a 2-to-1 plurality. I mean, no offense to the former mayor, but you trounced her. What led to your defeat and what I would call a resounding vote of support from, and we'll get to this part, the few people who turned out?
The defeat, there was two things, and it's usually appointed individual or appointed subjects. One certainly was the at Grey County, our stance on the long-term care, Grey Gables.
We're going to come to that.
Specifically, is my stance on that alienated a few of the voters, and the other aspect, there was another smaller one in West Grey itself. The Ministry of Environment certainly didn't do us any favors in an election year when they decided that the Norman B. Newstead landfill was going to get closed.
Yeah.
Don't dump on me there.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And that was I lost by 150, 175 votes, and that was it right there.
But you came back, as I said, with a better than 2-to-1 plurality.
Yeah, back to where it was.
Yeah.
And there certainly was an overall in Ontario and maybe in Canada as a whole of that change in 2018 from 16 to 18, even into 20, that we need a change.
All across the country.
It was across the country.
Happening.
It was a big thing. We need change. I've been in for 3 terms. I've been in 5 terms on council, 3 as mayor. And yeah, you could feel it. That's what it was. It was change, and everybody was looking for it. And it goes back to that old saying sometimes when you say, "Be careful what you ask for. You may get it." And I'm not, being real sarcastic, but when you've got some individuals, you get change, but you've got nobody that has that experience. It's tough. I'm not going to say that being a municipal politician is like playing in the NHL, but an analogy would be, it's like taking somebody from the local Bantam team and saying, "Okay, yep, you may be good, but you're not ready for the NHL. But you're going to, you're not going to, you're not going to throw them up and play with the attack, on the starting lineup." And I think you need that experience to be able to function in the political world.
How do you get that experience if you can't get yourself elected and serve? Because before you answer that question, deal with this fact, or deal with this supposition that the changes that you collectively as municipal politicians are going to face, and let's just say in Ontario, all across Ontario, I think the changes that you're going to face, that people are going to have to adapt to, are going to be more pronounced, more dramatic, more complex in this 4-year term and in subsequent 4-year terms going forward. I think, and you've been around long enough for both of us to remember when serving on city council was it was something you did for your community, like joining the Chamber of Commerce. You stepped up to serve. I'm going back 30, 40 years maybe, but you stepped up to serve, and municipal government, I don't think, had the complexities it has today.
Oh, for sure it doesn't have the complexities from 50 years ago. I served on council. First term I served on council, one of the other council members that sat beside me was a guy by the name of John S. Black. Who, that laugh gives me an indication that you certainly know John S.
Yes.
Was clerk of Ganelg Township for 50 years, retired, heavily involved in a number of community, international, national organizations and whatnot. But John S. was clerk. When he was clerk of the municipality, he was, the building inspector, dog catcher, dog license. You had 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You had the capabilities, and there wasn't the complexities. The provincial government has kept saying, and the federal government as well too, has started to push a lot of this stuff down too, and just as you said, the complexities of, they've moved away from what they were supposed to be doing, and that's a bit controversial. We'll just download that, whether it comes to environmental issues, whether it comes to conservation authorities, protection of the community. More and more, it's fallen on behalf of the municipality, and now we've got staff. And there was about the year 2000, 1999, 1998, there was a provincial government that said, we're going to get rid of little municipalities.
Yeah.
And you're going to, and when they did that, that really emphasized now we can start downloading a lot more of our responsibilities onto the municipality. And municipal politicians have no place to put it. We're there, we're the face of the community, and we do it to protect the community and to offer service to make this the best communities to live in. And I think that's where the problem of enlargement of municipal politics has come from.
Well, let's talk. I had buried somewhere in here a question on this. Let's talk about enlargement, because there seem to be increasing calls, and there actually seems to be, if not interest, there seems to be a willingness. Maybe I can't fish for the right word, to talk about further restructuring. People think Grey County should perhaps now be a single-tier municipality, or maybe that Grey and Bruce counties, this entire region, should be a single-tier, a regional government. Your thoughts?
God, I don't think I was prepared for it. Oh, I've heard it a lot.
We've heard it a lot, but now it really sounds like it's getting some traction.
Yes, and I think it will. I think that we need it. We need to examine it. I don't know whether it needs to be Grey County, go on a county system, because there's a lot of duplicity out there. We still haven't figured out the amalgamation from 2000 yet.
We got it wrong. This is my personal opinion. I think in various jurisdictions we got it wrong in 2000. Yeah.
We have the technology, we have the resources and the capacity to do things on a more efficient and effective scale. Mm-hmm. Just as a small example, how many municipalities does it take to keep the roads clear? We've got municipal works in every place you've got, and everybody's got, the director, and no matter where you are, there goes one snowplow, and there goes another snowplow down, and from another municipality. They come to the corner, we've got to turn and go back around. Where would those efficiencies? And as long as we've got a town hall here and a town hall, or a municipal office here and a municipal office there, I don't think we'll be able to see those partnerships, because the boundaries are there. To be able to get that effectiveness, and I remember back when I was warden in 2008, 2009, there was a delegation came from China that was looking at twinning city and economic variations, and sat and had lunch with them one day, and we get talking, and the mayor of the city that was there, and it was predominantly through Grey County, but the first question was, so how many politicians do you have? And said, well, there's 18 at county council. 18? And your population is 95,000 or 93,000 at that time. And he just went, oh, really? But as I said, there's 9 lower tier municipalities where there's between 5 and 9
in each one.
So really we've got 42 politicians looking after 93,000 people. How many politicians do you have? 5? Oh. And you look after an area somewhat similar to Grey County. Yeah. And the population, 1.1 million. And it was that struggle to get the efficiencies, because you just had too many little ants running around and not enough given it direction strategically. I agree with you.
We're going to
I think
talk
we've
about,
got to look at that.
We're going to talk about Grey County probably in the second half here, but is this something, just quickly, is this something that's likely to come up in this term, 4 years? Is somebody going to say, let's start talking?
I'm not sure whether it's going to be from the county, but we're going to be looking at it because it's going to be coming from the province.
Okay. All right. That. We'll all watch for that. Stuff in no particular. Before I get away from Electron, we've been sort of wandering a bit here now.
That's what we do best.
It's the best conversations wander. 34.5% turnout in West Grey. Barely over a third of your voters even bothered. What does that say to you? And if anything, what do you do about it?
I think what it says is something that I don't know whether it's a known fact or little known, but the fact is more than 50% of the property owners, the eligible voters, are non-residents. They live in Toronto, they live in Michigan, they live in BC, or, I know of 3 properties in and around where I am. The family, the owner, the tax bill goes to Germany.
Really?
Yeah. And that's so in the township of Glenelg, for sure.
I didn't write down corporate farming, but maybe I should have. Huh?
Well, it's not corporate farming. It's just, I don't know how or why. Some of these are only 25 acres. Some of them are just really lots.
Yeah.
How did the individual end up from Germany that has this?
Yeah.
Family, whatever, I don't know. But 50%, basically 50% of the population in Glenelg,
of the eligible,
in Benty, of the eligible landowners, of the eligible voters, are non-resident.
Okay.
So to get them engaged, I'm not sure how, even with social media, how you reach out.
Yeah.
It used to be, we were at about 20%. When I first come onto council, that's what it was, 22%. And the clerk was always, Mark Turner at the time, just, shook him, and we tried everything. Then we went to the online voting. Didn't go to the mail-in, but went to the online voting.
Yeah.
And we've bounced up to 35%.
Okay.
I think it's still a very good overview of the voting public. Mm-hmm. You've got both sides. Yeah, you don't have 100% like they do in Australia, but I guess that's the only way we can do it is as they do in Aussie. You either pay a big fine if you don't vote, or you go to jail if you don't vote.
The other argument of that is that you get a bunch of people who are absolutely ignorant, don't care, and suddenly there's an influence in your politics that you may not want.
Yes.
Stuff in no particular order. As I saw a story just before Christmas that West Grey is getting out of the household waste management agreement with Owen Sound. Tell me what's happening in West Grey with household waste. Hazardous waste.
Hazardous waste.
Hazardous waste. That's where I am.
2 different, yeah.
Hazardous waste.
Yeah, we've been in, and it hasn't been. It's been a good thing, but I think one of the best things about it is, everybody's got to run from West Grey, whether it's down near the south of near Mount Forest or out near Priceville or way over at Newstead. If you wanted your hazardous waste, you had to go and it was one of the few times I think that you really have a traffic jam up at this end of the town. You've got a 2-hour. Yeah, you've got a 2-hour wait. Yeah. A good process, but we've been able to work with the Ministry of Environment at both of our landfill sites, and I'll give kudos to our neighboring municipality, Southgate. Did it a number of years ago and got a license for doing it of a collection bin per se that. They moved from 90 days to their 2 sites, 90 days at this one in Dundalk, 90 days in there. We've got 2 sites, one in Durham, and that's what it's going to be. It's a container for that. It'll be shelved out where you've got oils and whatnot here, but it will be open 2 days, the 2 days that the landfill is open in Durham for 90 days, and it gives the opportunity, instead of 5 days a year in Owen Sound, we can do it now, 2 days a week, and not have that environmental problem sitting in somebody's garage or out behind the barn or whatever.
I read something that said you have just one hazardous waste day in May. Is that not?
Yep, we used to, and we had
Is this
had a
just
company
used
come
to?
in. Yeah, had a company come in at the arena, usually in Durham, sometimes in Normanby at Ayton, depending on where. But yeah, we had that, and it gets expensive to move all of that equipment in and
Yeah.
everything. of
So
that nature.
now, you can go to one of the 2 landfill sites.
Yep. One landfill will be there for 90 days, and then we'll move it to the other landfill for 90 days.
Okay.
It's on a rotational.
What happens
thing.
to all the waste you collect? I mean, you go from fluorescent light bulbs to mercury filled to paints and oils and.
All of that stuff that
What happens
you've
to it
got
all?
6 inches of it left in the container and no
Yeah.
use for it. What's going to happen is we'll have the company, as the bin gets full, we'll have the company has, we've got a contract with an organization that will come and pick it up and take it away to a processing station, very similar to what they do here in Owen Sound on those days. It all gets into containers, and the containers are taken away and recycled
No cost.
or putting.
No cost to the homeowner. No cost to the residents.
Oh, I am not 100% sure on that. I don't believe there is, no.
Okay.
No.
I know there isn't.
You know,
If they're driving it up here, you go through and somebody says, "Thank you very much," and
That's
you
it.
drive out again. So
Yeah.
I
No,
would
I'm pretty
presume,
sure.
but
I'm almost positive of that as well too. There is some return on some of the products can be recycled, and there's a market for that. And some of them, of course, it's going to take a lot to get it organized out. But so there is some revenue, but I think the municipality will be picking up the tab if there's any expense.
Okay.
The general taxpayer.
You have had a flood watch this week with the mild weather that we've been having, issued by the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. First of all, as we do this show airing on this Thursday evening, is everything okay so far?
Yes, yeah, I think it was just a warning for that, seeing as we have more shoreline than anybody in Grey and Bruce County. You're looking
Say
at
what?
me. We have
All your
more
lakes.
shoreline.
Oh,
We've
and-
got our
and the
lakes,
Saugeen
and we've
River?
got four tributaries of the Saugeen.
Okay,
we
fair
have
enough.
the Saugeen River, so yeah,
Fair.
we have more shoreline, and I think it was just because of the children being out of school until this week. It was a warning. These waters are high. They're not, and they are high, but there's no danger of property damage as of yet. Although raining this afternoon there,
Yeah.
I kind of wondered, this isn't going to add to a little bit of the problem. But there's no property damage per se. But it certainly was a warning that kids, you slip on that rock and the water's a little cool. You're not going to
Yes.
be
you're not
careful
gonna
with
last
it.
We've had 2, one around Thanksgiving and the one at Christmas. Let's talk about the one at Christmas. Significant weather events. What was the... I just want to ask, what was the worst thing about it? But I suppose...
The worst thing about it was, for a number of years, exit COVID, 2 ladies have done a Christmas Day dinner in Durham.
Yes.
We used to be at the Legion. This year it was going to be reconstituted. It was going to be back at the arena. And yes, it was canceled.
Didn't happen. So
anybody out there, it was open, free to anybody that wanted to come. If you didn't have any place to go for Christmas, just a bunch of people get together, and it was super. And with the weather, they just said, no, we can't do that. The other factor was we had West Grey had a snowplow just east of Elmwood. Come around the corner, blew one of the major hydraulic lines, no hydraulics. So that's right. Yeah. Boxing Day. So now we've got it sitting there for 3 days because you can't move it. There's no hydraulics. So we had to find pipe lines and the equipment. But that's been rectified as well, too. I think if there was anything, the shout out should go to our road crews and to the road crews of Grey County that those guys, I don't think, get enough appreciation.
They do not.
Guys, ladies, guys, gals, that they're working out there on Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day and whatnot to make sure and try. Now, we were like everybody else. we can't keep up with this. I blew the lane. I blew my driveway out 3 times, and I went, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm contributing to this environmental climate change by using that much gas to keep this thing blowing out. But then there was no place to go anyways. But
is it snowblowers? Or I heard an interesting fact. This is totally aside from everything we're doing. I heard an interesting fact. I think it's a power lawnmower. I think lawnmower creates as much pollution in our atmosphere as an automobile taking a 300-mile trip. Lawnmowers are apparently just brutal. So your snowblower, I would suspect, because I think it's the same 2-cycle Briggs and Stratton engine.
Yeah. They're not that totally efficient. That's for sure.
Yeah. I want to come back. We were starting on the flooding and Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. I'm going to come back to them. I want to jump back to things that are in the news. The Ukrainian situation, and you have you have at least 2 in the municipality of West Grey. What can you tell me about what's happening there? And one of my questions is, are there going to be more?
I believe there is going to be more. I started work back in May when the group got together and started looking at West Grey Loves Ukrainian.
Yep.
And so we have successfully transplanted, I guess for no other word, 2 ladies with their, both of them have 2 children.
Okay.
And 2 families have opened up their homes and they're living there with them. Both, I think now, I know for sure the one and I think the other one lady have jobs, have started into work. The children have working on English as a second language as well. They have some English, their English is a lot better than my Ukrainian. Let's go there.
I think,
and that doesn't take a whole lot.
All of us who speak English know that about most people in the world.
Yeah, and so they'll be starting school here on Monday, I guess it is.
Great, yeah.
And that'll be perfect. So they've been good. They've been into the community, have done a fair bit. Community's been very open arms, welcoming them, and have certainly made the transition for the trauma that they've incurred or have had to deal with.
This is very much a social thing. People who care get together and make this happen. Where does the municipality fit into this, if anywhere? Are there permissions you have to give? Are there is there red tape you have to cut? Is there any role for the municipality in either making this happen, helping it happen, or?
There hasn't been, there's been a presentation to council from the group.
Yep.
The individual that's leading the chair. But as of right now, it's been mostly strictly with the group themselves, and there hasn't been a need for the municipality, other than we made available a couple of the facilities for fundraising aspects.
Good.
And the police, anybody that's involved with them, have had to, have your vulnerable sector check, have a police check and whatnot. So we've made that available. But it's been with the community. It hasn't been done through the municipality or having to deal with our staff. Excellent program, though.
Good.
And excellent people.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. We're going to take a time out and tell you about 1 or 2 other things, and then we're going to come back with Kevin Eccles, who is the mayor of West Grey. He is our guest this week. I'm filling in for David Sherman. You're watching Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details. This is Rogers TV.
Heartbeat of Mother Earth, I feel you and embrace your warmth. I see you dancing through the trees. Your song floats on the summer breeze. Community, we come together. We are the voice of our ancestors. Thankful for how much you bless us. Feel the thunder in the drum. All our voices sing as one. Feel the power, feel the pride. Feel the drumbeat deep inside. Feel the boom, feel the bass. Let's let go of time and space. It'll make you dance, it'll make you sing. Ode Wegun, Wedok Wishin. The drum will lead you, take you far. Always remember who you are.
We hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season.
See you in the new year on Grey County Life on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Politically Speaking here on Rogers TV. I'm Dave Carr, sitting in for David Sherman, who's under the weather this week. I fully expect you'll see David Sherman back in this seat next week at this time, but stuck with me for now. And you are embracing, yes, you didn't see it, a big, I don't know if, I couldn't see it out of the corner. It may have been a thumbs up and it may have been a thumbs down. I'm not sure which.
Oh, it's thumbs up.
It was
Always thumbs up, Dave. Come on.
From Kevin Eccles, the mayor of West Grey, who is our guest this week on Politically Speaking. We were talking about Flood Watch, Saugeen Conservation Authority. Let's get into Bill 23 and the provincial government's Build Better, Faster legislation. It impacts the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. I get the, and I want to deal with this at some point on a radio open line, but if I read what I've read about this, if it does anything in this province, it literally handcuffs municipalities. Is that a fair statement?
I don't think it is.
That's the impression I get of the bill.
There's
Suddenly
a
things
lot
you
of,
can't do.
and I think from a rural municipality, it may not be handcuffing us as much as certainly what it is some of the larger urban centers, from what I can see. Certainly the 7,500 acres that's been taken out of the Greenbelt already from this program. I think that that's where part of the problem is, but with the conservation authorities, it's pulling back their, from my understanding, which I'm not sure just how it's going to be implemented, but it's going to pull back their commenting on natural heritage and some of the things that conservation authorities have dwelled in for a number of years in the planning process for subdivisions and housing and land zoning designations. And taking that authority, nope, they're not going to be able to comment anymore. But the Planning Act says you still need those comments or need that observation. And that's where it's going to leave the municipalities. Okay.
What do we do?
How do we have to do that ourselves? Do we have to address that?
Yeah.
But I think what it's going to do more is take a look at it, because I heard a number of years ago, is there any training or designation, or is it just something that, kind of a common sense type of thing, that how it's done? And as I said, the conservation's done it, and it's been signed off by them for a number of years on it. And how can it be done by municipal staffing? Do you need more municipal staffing? Or do the planners that are already there really have that ability, but have never been forced to do it? And that's my take on it. Where I don't see it getting any better is the idea that the ruling party in the province right at the present moment, the government is saying, this is just going to make housing prices just fall and everybody's going to have a home. Isn't this wonderful?
I don't see that.
No, I don't see it either. No. It's not addressing the issue. And it's not addressing part of the other one that's interesting is that they had, now you can build 2 houses on 1 lot. Well, we've had that in rural municipalities for years.
Yep.
It's called a granny flat. That, if your parents, you want to build that and beside your parents' home and you can help them out type of thing, that was great. But one of the interesting facts is, but you need municipal services. Well, West Grey's got a bit in Durham and they've got a bit in Newstead.
Yeah.
But the other 10,000 people that don't live on municipal services.
No, they do not. Is the province then short-sighted?
Yes.
And your good friend Bill Murdoch,
bless his soul.
Bless his soul. This was one of his mantras, that the provincial government would enact legislation like this and, quite frankly, not have a clue about how it might impact rural Ontario. They would enact legislation almost as if they had no concept that rural Ontario existed. Is this one of those bills?
Absolutely. I think you're dead on with that. Yes. Everything that the province does, it's good for the whole province. What's good? Well, it's not.
No.
We're not the same as downtown Toronto. Windsor is not the same as Sault Ste. Marie. They're both cities, but
there are 460 or something municipalities?
440, somewhere in that neighborhood.
In the province of Ontario. A handful of them are urban municipalities. They're rural municipalities.
Absolutely. You've got the big, in the policing world they always talk about it, the Big 12, and the large urban centers of Ontario.
Yeah.
But they only make up 25, maybe of those larger 25. Do they make up a majority of the population? Yes. Yeah. But that's where the difference is. You can't put something in and say it's
good for
the
all
same.
The people.
It's the same across Ontario. This is great. No, it's not. Maybe, as Bill said, Toronto should be its own province, and then we wouldn't need to worry about them.
I didn't do something coming back that I said I was going to do, so I'm going to do it now. I want to pause in my questions and just say to you, the mayor of West Grey, for anything that I might ask, what's on your mind that you'd like to impart to the people of West Grey watching this, probably online, but what do you want to get out?
What do I want to get out?
If nothing, I'll keep asking you questions. But
I don't think that there's anything specific that I want to get out, other than the fact that the new council is coming in enthusiastic. But I think from the election, our biggest thing right now is we are going to draw back in to doing what the municipality should do, and concentrate on that, on our top priorities between our infrastructure, roads, some of that soft services type of thing, but pull it back in. I've seen, and it was a bit of the frustration, and you asked me earlier why I ran as one of the reasons, is that there was some trickle-down effect from the province that, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And all of a sudden, everybody reached out, we got to start doing this, we got to start doing that. And what it ends up doing is, I'm running around doing all of this stuff and not concentrating on doing the core facts of what a municipal government should be doing.
It's interesting, Kevin, I actually wrote this down as one of my questions. West Grey is an overwhelmingly rural municipality with Durham as its principal urban center. I think in a questionnaire back at election time, you listed a shopping list of priorities for this current 4-year term, focusing on fire, police, library, landfill, road infrastructure, recreation, water and sewer works. Kevin, that is a shopping list.
It's a shopping list, but it is the list. That's what we have. Okay. Absolutely. And if we get into trying to deal with long-term care and other factors, our housing issues, and more factors in those natural places that are provincial. If we want to start taking them on as municipalities, the province is always fine, and it's human nature. You know, I've got a whole bunch of berries to pick here. Oh my God! Oh, do you want to come on over and pick the berries? I'm fine with that. Let you just go right ahead. Yeah. No, I was a farmer, and it was more difficult to find somebody who would come and pick the stones. They had to get picked. Yeah. But I didn't find anybody that wanted to do that. But I noticed that in a number of spots, municipal governments have started to expand out to try and do everything. And what's the old saying? If you try to please 100% of the people, 100% of the time you're going to be wrong. Yeah. We've got to focus back in. Yeah, those are the core projects, and we've got to get back. If we can do those, and we've got some extra time to do, a little bit on the outside, then fine. I mean, but get that done first.
What you were talking about, and the way you put it, if the province is throwing these things out, and you see other municipal leaders somewhere saying, are these things that you actually have the option to say, no, we're not doing that. I've got things I need to do. I don't get the impression you can say no to the province all that often.
Well, you can't say no to the province all that often, but what you can say, and where maybe we'll be able to say it, is 2 weeks' time, I'll be in Toronto at the Roma conference, the Rural Ontario Municipal Association conference, and there you get a chance to going, I'm going to hold MPP buyers and the government. These are your jobs. Get your jobs done. Yeah. You need to do that. Yeah. The Highway 6 needs to be looked after. Highway 10 needs to be looked after, guys. Why is it, and I'm looking at the bridge in Durham that is on the construction of it for a long time.
Well, I've tried to cross that bridge a few times when I came to it.
And you had to jig it. Well, it is open back up there. Yep, the lanes are going great. But all of a sudden it became, oh no, well, this is in your town. Yeah, the bridge needs to be fixed. You guys, we'll throw some money at it, but you look after the project. It was like it's your highway, it's your bridge.
Could you have gone back to them and said, you throw all the money at it and we'll look after it?
If I would have certainly said that had I been in the position in 2019.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, I forgot.
But I did bring.
Would you? Seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, because it was identified that we did the inspection on the bridge, just for community safety, and found out that in 2016 that there were problems. And at that point, we'll look at that. Yeah, I said, well, it's your bridge. You better look at it.
Further north, the ferry Chichimon is a kind of a bridge, and people forget. Mm-hmm. At the time of the end of the Norgoma and the Nor Isle and the arrival of the Chichimon, people forget that the great argument was that ferry from Tobermory to South Baymouth is an extension of Highway 6. And that is how we got the ferry, because the people, certainly, and I think it would be Johnstone up in Tobermory. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
I think people like that said, this is Highway 6, Province of Ontario. This is on you. And I think your bridge probably just fits into that. Yeah, it's a municipal street, but it is first and foremost Highway 6. Yeah. Fascinating.
And I think that's, as I said, more of these projects and whatnot, as the provincial government to keep their budgeting down, just keeps, we can that'll just nicely, quietly just go down. Yep, okay, you guys. And once you're into it and doing it, now how do you back out of it?
Yeah, exactly.
And, so we've got to be very careful we've got to have that pushback on the province. You do your things, and let us do our things back here.
This wasn't on my list, but you've identified you're going to Roma. Mm-hmm. What is going to come out of Roma, or what? And by the way, Roma is Rural Ontario Municipalities Association.
Yes.
What is going to come out of Roma, or what should come out of Roma? It's maybe not enough for you to say you're going to go tell buyers to do his job, but on the grander scale, what's going to come out of Roma?
I think what is certainly going to come out of Roma is more clarity and direction on the fast track of these two bills on build more homes and build homes faster.
Yeah.
And what effect that is having on our municipal planning developments. Certainly I know Randy Schertzer and Scott Taylor at the county are, neither one of them, they both keep their hair cut short, so they have difficulty pulling it out. But they're certainly losing. How are we going to implement this? Where's it going to affect us? How is it going to? Do we need more staff to build up onto this of taking more responsibility on, or what is that issue?
Is anybody making the argument for the province to address rural municipalities slightly differently? They've created a bill that fits urban municipalities. Do they need to put in a clause or?
Yeah, not being closely enough associated with it over the past 3 or 4 years. Okay. I don't know just where Roma has been doing, where they've been putting their focus.
Yep. But
certainly looking at the agenda for this coming up, definitely, it's a push on those two bills, and maybe another push. One of the other things that's coming out is how far is this going to expand on the greater mayor powers? I mean, Ottawa and Toronto, yep, you've got it.
They've already said he's going to do it for a bunch more. So
Niagara,
Hamilton, London, probably Windsor, Sioux, the bigger municipalities.
Yep, the bigger municipalities.
He's already indicated he's going to do that maybe this year.
And I look at that and go, my gosh, I thought we were worried about democracy south of the 49th parallel, but now we've got a democracy where we only need a third of the votes to be able to. That's the scary part about it. Of destroying that. I don't. Is that an extension of what the premier wants as well too?
What is the point of going to vote if the council you vote for can just be autocratically overridden by
a tyrannical mayor
whom you may or may not have chosen? It is going to be a fascinating concept. What does the 2023 budget look like for West Grey?
Scary.
Why?
There was a number of hires, and I don't think that they were fully expensed in 2022. Now they'll be fully expensed in 23. I expect we'll be coming in. We'll start with
this is the cost of administration.
Yep. We'll be looking at somewhere probably north of 20%.
Stop it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Stop it.
I'm going to.
Something's not going to get done.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that there's a number of competing factors in the budget. Insurance has just gone crazy. Fiona in that hurricane that hit Eastern Canada certainly didn't help the catastrophic expenses that the insurance companies have. And there's only one way to fill the pot back up, and that's greater premiums. So we've had good growth, so I'll see how that'll offset it. But I'm scared with the budget in West Grey this year.
Tell me the single biggest thing that you're going to have to do. I mean, you've got a shopping list, as we said. What is the single biggest in that entire list? What's the single biggest new thing that needs to be accomplished over this 4-year term? Build a bridge, expand.
There's going to be. It's not about building a bridge. It's about finding the money and recognizing that our infrastructure is deteriorating. Our average bridge is probably 45 years old.
Wow.
We've got bridges out there that are 100 years old.
Load limits.
And so it's finding the ability to build up in the budget and recognize those roads, this infrastructure needs to be addressed, the infrastructure deficit we have. And I think it's got to come to some of it from the province, because if we didn't have all these campgrounds that Toronto, the large urban centers come and play on, I would have half the traffic or less than half the traffic in the summertime. Is it good? The tourism, there is offsets, but it's still cost to get them here.
A tourist is someone who comes here from someplace else and leaves his money behind.
if you can find enough spots where he will pull that out of his pocket. But in today's factor of where we are, how the tourist, we don't have the Disneyland for them to come and drop. The tourist comes here, and as I said, it's 50% of the population have residents. Yeah, it's a weekend tourist. They come in.
Yeah.
They may stop at the grocery store in Orangeville on the way up Highway 10, or they may stop. There might be another LCBO, but what difference is that? But they'll come with a fair bit of product.
They'll come with what already
exists.
They're not likely to be walking the main street of Newstead or the main
not
street
a heck of a lot. No.
Of Durham or that's
they
interesting.
may stop. They may take one time, or they'll come up to Grey Roots. But those types of tourists, the weekend tourists, the ones that are coming to our trailer parks, we've got 6 of them in West Grey. They come up, trailers there for the whole summer. That's where they are. They're there at the trailer, sitting by the campfire.
At the beginning of the program, we were talking about defeat. You mentioned your stance on long-term care. What is likely to happen at Grey County over the next 4-year term regarding long-term care in this county?
Long-term care is something, and I like the term long-term. The decision has been made. It's for the long term to keep 3 homes there, and the 3 homes are going to stay open. The biggest thing is we will be into the redevelopment of Rockwood Terrace
in Durham
at 128. I think that's going to be the biggest focus about getting that going. The other focus, and thankfully we have a nursing capabilities at Georgian College here, because staffing those homes is an issue. Staffing any place is an issue these days. But the care in those long-term care homes keeps increasing, and the expertise that's needed, we got to find those people.
In the last term of council, of course, the last term of the term before, I can't remember which one anymore, that of course was a big fight. They were going to close Grey Gables. It got overturned. The fight wasn't finished when people thought it was finished. Now it appears to be.
Yeah. Okay. From my perspective, there is no fight on it. We've decided to do that and maintain it at the point to where it is, and then going forward. My fear always is when you look outwards, it's what comes after the baby boomers, because we've got schools that aren't filled. We've got arenas that don't get used as much anymore. And those were baby boomer. Oh, well. Now it's the long-term care homes that the baby boomers are moving into, but
it's
once they go out and through,
it's not only
left?
The numbers either. The baby boom cohort was immense, and the following cohorts are smaller, but also the whole face of society has changed. The new generations don't think, act, play, react, anything like that big baby boom generation did. So there's another whole set of changes going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a Grey County Council meeting next Thursday, the 12th. What can we expect at that first January meeting? It's actually, I guess, your second as
it'll be
county
a second.
councilors.
Yeah, it'll be a second county council meeting per se. I guess we're going to be dealing more heavily into the budget and getting it through. But I think it's more just general business of what the general business of Grey County. There's nothing that is totally urgent at this point in time.
Okay. When does the county set its budget? March?
It's usually done, talking to Director Spicer the other day, she's hopeful that we can have it set in February.
Do you have your committees yet? You personally?
Yes.
What committees are you on?
The Grey Bruce Health Unit.
Are you?
Yes. And that's about it.
Oh, not bad. Aren't you the lucky one?
Well.
What's facing you on the Grey Bruce Health Unit committee? What does?
I think the biggest thing right at the present moment from the Grey Bruce Health Unit certainly is recovering and moving on for the pandemic and making sure that we are ready for whatever waves keeps coming. But a bigger one in community health right now, I believe, is, and I think a number of the directors believe as well too, is the opioid crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Our opioid
we're not hearing
drug.
enough about that.
No,
We are. That is one of the major complexities that we don't know how to address.
Exactly. It, and it's a stigma from a family. I don't believe that anyone close in my family has experienced that, thankfully. But as a family, it's something taboo.
Yeah.
As I said, it's a stigma you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
How do you talk about it? And where do you get help for it? And so it's always been just kind of pushed off to the side.
Very quickly, because we have 2 or 3 minutes left. If you're on the Grey Bruce Health Unit Committee, I think it's Bill 37, the one that allows the province to move people off to, if they're taking up an active care bed in the hospital, the province can move them out someplace 30, 40, 50 miles away.
Yes.
That hasn't come up yet here that you know of?
Hasn't come up with the health unit per se. Certainly I know I served with the Hospital Foundation.
I'm confusing health unit and health services. Yeah, thank you.
But it does factor into the health unit, because now you've got those people coming out of the hospital and whatnot. The mental anguish that it puts on the community and on the families.
Yeah.
Where does that trickle down and then end up in a community health situation? But it comes back to that: is there enough beds? But is there enough staff to run the beds that we have? For those individuals that are being moved out of the hospital and off the province's dealing, and down to, again, it's one of those things. You dump them out because, it's cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper to have them in a long-term care home than it is at the hospital. But with the complex health issues they have, how much can the municipalities who are working on a property tax, not an income sharing tax, be able to fund?
Yeah. Very, very quickly, because I've got less than a minute. You had a dispute with Hanover over land. Has that been resolved yet?
No, it hasn't been resolved. We're still looking at, it wasn't as much over Hanover, but with Grey County on how they expanded the urban fringe around Hanover. Had it come out as being, expanding the service land or industrial land or the, commercial land of West Grey, might have went over a little better, but all of a sudden it was West Grey's lands being included in Hanover's expansion.
We'll hear
bit of rivalry out of that.
We'll hear a little more about that.
Yes, going forward, I think it can be resolved.
Thank you for coming and doing this.
Always a pleasure doing it.
I appreciate it.
Good to see you, and
good to see you.
The new year's brought you great health.
I hope it does. It's early days yet, and to you as well. And of course, every decision a wise one. Kevin Eccles.
You're so kind.
We can both say that smilingly. Kevin Eccles, the mayor of West Grey, this week on Politically Speaking. I'm Dave Carr, sitting in for David Sherman. Get well, David, and be in this chair next week on Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Tuesday on City TV.
I'm Detective Charlie Hudson.
Assume you have a warrant?
Yeah, right here.
The Bark.
Oh.